Hello, students. This is the first module of Unit 5, the last unit of the class. Yay, hey. So the module number is 5.1.1, Origin of Life, Molecules. And in this module, we're going to discuss the scientific origin of life using a materialistic explanation. Recall that science cannot invoke a supernatural or religious cause. And in philosophy, they call this the first thing that's causing the origin of life. They call it first cause. And so we'll give you the scientific explanation of first cause. And first we need to understand that the Earth is estimated to be about 4.6 billion years of age. And the oldest life is, well, 3.5. We have very solid fossil evidence for prokaryotes or bacteria of that age, but we can push it back even to 3.8 billion years because there are these little fossilized carbon grains which scientists are fairly confident are also prokaryotic cells. So somewhere in that range, we're talking life has been around. And here is a kind of an interesting analogy where it shows the history of the Earth. You see the origin of the Earth here going back to 4.6 billion years or so. And then the origin of prokaryotes, they're pushing it back to about 3.8. And then we can see photosynthesis here, single-celled eukaryotes here, multicellular eukaryotes there, and you can see that human just popped on the scene just a little while ago. So it kind of is an interesting thing to contemplate. I don't think there's really anything that you need to remember there, but just to understand, put everything into perspective, I suppose. But one of the things that if you're going to contemplate the origin of life on Earth, you need to understand what the conditions were like at that time. The early atmosphere consisted of many gases, and they were of considerable warmth. Hydrogen, nitrogen, water, carbon monoxide, and carbon dioxide were all present or believed to be present. Our understanding of what the conditions were change as we get more information, and that's what science does, is it gives us the best explanation with the available data. We get more data, and we refine our explanation. But it is fairly certain that there was no or little oxygen present in that early atmosphere. Here's another take, and if you notice the list of gases here, they're not exactly the same. They throw in hydrogen cyanide, for example, but many of the others are similar. The Earth was very hot. I love this kind of artwork that shows what it was like. There was something called the asteroid bombardment during the early stages of the origin of the Earth, and very interesting stuff. So we're not certain, but that's what best evidence tells us the Earth was like. We also need to contemplate, in addition to the building blocks, the chemical building blocks that were available, we also have to contemplate energy sources that were available. So here's three main ones: the sun, lightning, and geothermal energy, the heat of the Earth. And the heat of the Earth is usually manifested through lava from volcanic eruptions or hydrothermal vents, two places. So I really like this little clip of the sun. It's kind of interesting. Here's some lightning. Here's a lava flow. And here is a hydrothermal vent. This is a crack in the crust of the Earth under the ocean where hot water with chemicals in it is spewing forth. This is what they call a dark smoker or a black smoker, and it has sulfur compounds in it, hydrogen sulfide and other things that are present within it. This kind of gives the origin of life, kind of the whole overview. So we'll just go through it kind of quickly. We're really more concerned with the chemical building blocks in this particular module, but really what has to happen is a cell has to originate. And once you have a cell, it's easy for evolution, which we've learned about, to go from a single-celled organism to the millions of different species, and many of them multicellular species that exist now on the Earth. So let's look at the four steps here, letters A through D. Step A, it says that there was an abiotic synthesis of small organic molecules. So we had to have carbon hooking to something to make organic molecules. And then and that happened spontaneously. And step B, we had to have monomers joined together to form polymers. Especially proteins and nucleic acids are critical for that first cell and for living things. The third step, step C, we had to, from these polymers, we had to have the origin of self-replicating molecular systems, and in which you would have selection for stability, and you'd even have some chemical inheritance where those molecular systems that perpetuated themselves, they were selected for, and those that didn't, they were selected against. So it was just kind of like natural selection, but not quite the same, but working on non-living systems, which is kind of interesting. Notice here I put the phrase RNA world. It's because many researchers believe that the first molecules that were used as nucleic acids to store information was RNA. And so it was thought that RNA preceded DNA in terms of the origin of life in the first cell. In any case, step D, we have to have the packaging of these self-replicating molecular systems into what are called protobionts. Protobionts are also considered to be precursors to the first cells. So these are combinations of abiotically produced molecules that do maintain an internal chemical environment, and they exhibit some of the properties that are associated with life. For example, they have some kind of metabolism, they have some kind of stability, and maybe some kind of replication that might be the precursor to reproduction. Let's analyze some of these steps. One of the steps there was the synthesis of organic compounds. And you will recall that living things are made of 4 classes of organic compounds. I call these biological macromolecules: proteins, carbohydrates, lipids, and nucleic acids. And these compounds are thought to be able to spontaneously form from simple substances that were present on the early Earth, as long as we had some kind of energy input, sunlight, lightning, or geothermal energy. And to kind of substantiate this supposition, this hypothesis, Stanley Miller conducted an experiment way back in the 1950s. And what he did was he put some of the things that at that time, the compounds and the chemical building blocks that were thought to make up the early Earth, he put it into a closed glassware chamber, and he circulated it, and he put some energy input into it. And in less than a week, he got things like amino acids and other organic molecules. It appeared as brown gunk, but the analysis showed was there. There's a picture of a young Stanley Miller. This is showing that his glassware system. Notice that here's heated water. So this was heated here, and that he had an electric spark here in the atmosphere. And after just a week, he showed that organic molecules could indeed be produced. Now, that's far from producing a protobiont or this precursor to a cell, but nevertheless, he did show that the chemical part of the hypothesis was indeed possible. And so he suggests that lightning could have produced amino acids, which may have been one of the steps leading to chemical evolution. And here's another one of those great paintings showing the early Earth, what it might have looked at. And we're going to end this module right there.